Fish and chips, can it be vegan? Well, we're gonna find out. Today I am going to make some fish and chips. I think I have a delicious, great vegan fish option, and so I'm gonna go ahead and jump right on in. First thing I'm going to do for this recipe today is I'm going to make basically a fish marinade. I'm going to start with some vegetable stock. Nori powder. You can use some nori flakes if you want, but I like the powder, it mixes better. Some miso paste. I have some nutritional yeast, some kelp granules. I have some caper brine, some rice vinegar, and finally some dill. And I'm just going to kind of rip the dill right off the stem here. And now I'm just going to mix this all up. You know, so tofu is a great protein because you know, it's one of those ingredients that it has the protein in it, but also it takes the flavor of whatever you cook with it or in it, however you marinate it. So that's what's great about this vegan fish, is that the tofu is going to soak up a lot of that like ocean flavor, that fishiness that you get. And at the end of the day, we want this to emulate that. So basically, I had some tofu that I pressed in order to get some of that liquid out. Now I'm just going to do a couple cuts on the tofu and show you how I prepare this for the vegan fish. So the first thing is just cut it lengthway, and then again the same, so that way you have 4 triangle pieces of tofu. These are going to be the fish. Now for each one of these, after you do that, you want to score the tofu. So you really don't want to score below about this mark. So there's a few options on this. You can just be very careful and cut down the tofu, or like if you've seen my other video when I made some salmon, I used some chopsticks and put the chopsticks next to the tofu and just cut down, and that allowed me to cut down as far as I needed to and wanted to, but ensuring that it didn't cut all the way through the tofu as well. But you can see here, if I separate a little bit, you can see how far down on the tofu I cut, and this adds that nice that fish look, like when you see the fish at the store. So that's what we're looking for. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the marinade and just pour some of it down, and I'm going to add the tofu with the scores up, and then pour the rest of the marinade over the top. And so now I'm going to let this marinade. I'm going to put it in the fridge for a minimum of an hour, but you could put it in there for, you know, up to a day or so, while the tofu marinades into our fish fillets. I'm going to make up 3 different portions of ingredients that's going to be for dredging and breading the fish fillets. So the dry dredge I'm going to be putting in this middle bowl here. Just going to get about a 1/4 cup of flour, about a teaspoon or so of baking powder, some garlic powder, onion powder, and then some Old Bay seasoning. Next we're going to move on to the wet dredge. So I'm adding some flour, and then I'm going to add some plant milk. I'm going with a soy plant milk, and then some apple cider vinegar. Now the apple cider vinegar and the plant milk is going to make basically like a vegan buttermilk. This is where you could also, you know, add some other things if you wanted to heighten up some other flavors. If you wanted to add a little spice, you could add it to this wet mixture. That could be a good idea. Now, so I'm just mixing this up a little bit, and then we're going to let that sit. And we're going to move on to the breadcrumb mix. So when it comes to the breadcrumbs, I want that in the largest bowl that I have because I really need to make sure there's as much breadcrumbs on these fish fillets as possible. But I'm going to go with about a cup and a half of the breadcrumbs. I'm going to add some Old Bay seasoning to this as well. I'm going to add a little bit of garlic powder, and then I want to add a sprinkle of salt. So now at this point I have the 3 mixtures ready to go ahead and make the fish fillet. So I'm going to let that marinate a little bit more, but I'm going to move into the chips portion of the fish and chips, and I'm going to start getting some fries together. When it comes to the fries, I have some russet potatoes, just a strainer and my peeler. Basically, I'm just going to peel a bunch of potatoes and throw them in the strainer because I'm going to be rinsing them off, and then I'm going to run them through a fry cutter. Alright, so let's go ahead and see how my new fry cutter works. There we are, push of a button. So they got the potato in place, got the fish fillets in place. Now it's just going to be breading up the tofu fish, and then I'm going to be cooking everything off. Now, like I showed you the fry cutter, I just bought that on Amazon. It was a great purchase. So this was not a gift. It was not something that was sponsored, anything at all. This was my own choice on it. So let's go ahead and get started with the fish. So the first thing I will say is that I did let this marinate for about a day. Now you can see that it still has some of the marinade on it. I could scrape this off, but I don't want to. I want to just ensure that it has that fishiness to it. Nothing too crazy, but again, like, we're making fish and chips, so like, you want to make what you're setting out to make. So I'm gonna start with this dry dredge. It's really just making sure that the breading process is gonna work out great. So once I get the dry dredge on, I'm just gonna put it back on my plate, work through the other 3 fillets. And you want to be tender with this process because I did score the tofu, and I don't want the fillets to fall apart. So just be careful when you go through this process. Make sure you kind of shake off any excess flour mixture here, because you don't want to have too much of that flour as we move through this process. So we got the wet going in now. That basically acts as the glue into the breading. I'll leave that in there for a second, get some more wet dredge here into the breading. Okay, so the fish fillets are breaded. I don't see a need to double bread them, so it's gonna be time to move on to the cooking process. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and fry up some potatoes to make some fries. And really the first thing to note, I'm shallow frying these because I don't want to use up too much oil. All right, we got the potatoes done. Now we're gonna go ahead and fry up the fish. I'm gonna put the fish right in. Just gonna cook 2 at a time so that way there's plenty of room. And I'm gonna let it cook until it's golden, be about a few minutes, and then I'll flip it over and cook the other side. That is the vegan fish and chips. It's super simple to make. I'll call out that using the fry cutter was absolutely fantastic. It made this process simple and fast. I'll also point out that using a deep fryer, like I have, that's honestly, it's in my storage right now, that would make the fry portion a little bit easier. But otherwise, if you use the cast iron, that's fine too. It'll just get a little bit more rustic looking with your fries. But all in all, this looks absolutely fantastic. So let's try it out. All right, so I'm gonna try the fish. That's great. That's got great flavor. You get the fishiness coming through, but it's not overwhelming, and it's not too much to make you, you know, like question whether or not it's real fish, things like that. But it is a great alternative. Try the fries. Yeah, I mean, it's good fries. Now, also, I'll throw out there that I made some tartar sauce, some homemade tartar sauce. It came out absolutely fantastic. That will be for another video, but it's great. All in all, this is a great dish. Super simple to make, and it's super simple to make, and it's great. You can enjoy it on a game night. You can enjoy it when you're watching, you know, a sporting event, when you just have friends and family together. Really, anything. This is awesome. The fish and chips was a success. You can make yourself smaller fillets if you want. Cook off a little bit faster. You can keep them thick, like I have them. You know, there's a lot of different ways that you can play around, but all in all, if you want to know how to make fish and chips, this is how. Make sure you come back again real soon. I got some more great recipes for you. I'm your friend with food benefits. I'll see you again real soon.